providing an important update on the fight against the opioid epidemic while speaking at the Prescription Drug Abuse and Heroin Summit in Atlanta. Watch.
My administration is also taking aggressive action to reduce the oversupply of highly addictive prescription drugs. Earlier this week, the United States filed criminal charges against the 6th largest drug wholesaler for illicit distribution of opioids. Because we are holding Big Pharma accountable. They should be accountable.
Well, that drug wholesaler the president mentioned now facing drug trafficking charges. 2 of its former execs facing life in prison. This is serious stuff. Joining us now to react, Michael Barnes. He's the chair of the Center for U.S. Policy. He served as confidential counsel in the White House Office of National Drug Control Policy under President George W. Bush. Jay Jonas is here in New York. He's a recovering opioid addict and the founder of the Truth Recovery Center. And Dr. Roger Crystal is the inventor of Narcan and CEO of Opiant Pharmaceuticals. We appreciate you all being here. I want to start with you, Michael. You were there at the summit in Atlanta. What was critical? What did you take away from yesterday and what the president did?
Overall, the president is exactly right in his approach to opioid addiction and overdose. He talked about preventing people from using substances in the first place, intervening, and getting them to treatment. The problem that I see, though, is that his administration is not yet fully on board. So, for example, the DOJ is going after the manufacturers and distributors of pills. That's an easy target. They're also, though, going after addiction treatment providers who are providing the treatments that are necessary for people to enter in recovery. The FDA also is preventing the coming onto market of new medications until 2024 using the gold standard medication unless there's a change in policy. And so all in all, the president has a strategy, but the administration really needs to get on board with what he has laid out.
2024, way down the road, as you point out. Michael, I want to bring in Jay Jonas because as a recovering addict, what's your perspective? Because it's important to hear directly from you.
I feel as though going after the pharmaceutical companies is, I think it's a step in the right direction. I mean, these are just legal drug dealers. You know, so I think that is a positive thing.
And you say you're proud of what the president has done so far?
Yeah, very much so. Very much so. He's done more than any administration has done before him.
All right, Dr. Crystal, let's get your
problem.
Go ahead, jump in.
The problem, Ed, is that we really have a problem of heroin and fentanyl. If you ask any law enforcement agent, he will say that they haven't seen a real prescription opioid medication on the street in 3 or more years. This is not 2010 where pill mills are operating. This is an issue of Chinese and Mexican illicit substances.
Right. Let's get Dr. Crystal in here. As the inventor of Narcan, you've been so important. We're very fortunate to have you here. You've heard these 2 perspectives. What are your thoughts, sir?
Thank you. So, from my point of view, absolutely, we have this opioid crisis. It's been over a decade in the making, and absolutely there's initiatives to try and address what's happened in the past, but we need to look forward. And looking forward, I'm encouraged very much by the government's recognition as opioid addiction as a chronic disease. I think that's a very important standing point. But when we look to the future, agreeing with Michael, we look at now what type of opioids are people overdosing on in particular, and fentanyl is really what really worries us as a company, and really as a country we ought to be very concerned. Most of that is in fact coming from China, and that's for us as a company why we're working on on now a follow-on product, if you like, to nasal naloxone, which is called nasal nalmefene, because we think this is probably better suited for a fentanyl overdose, which is even now the concern of the government with the chemical attacks on this.
And to your point, President Trump has gotten this new deal with China, put pressure on them. He's also talked about the spread of drugs across the border from Mexico. These are critical issues. He has been on top of it, and I'm hearing from all of you, you want to see more from the rest of his administration and get him pushing them in the days ahead. So we appreciate all of your perspectives, Doctor and Michael, as well as Jay. Thanks for all coming in. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, Jillian's got some more headlines.